At 6:17 on a Friday evening, a delivery driver named Marcus sees two cars collide at 5th and Mercer. He pulls over, reaches for his phone, and dials 911. The screen says, "Calling." Then the call ends. He tries again. This time, nothing happens at all. 3 miles away, every seat inside the city's emergency communications center is occupied. Dispatchers are still talking to responders over the radio, but the screens that normally fill with incoming 911 calls are almost silent. Nobody has abandoned the room. Nobody has stopped answering. The calls are simply not reaching them. This is an engineering-informed simulation, not one specific outage. Backups vary by jurisdiction, but the weak points are real. In our scenario, a software failure has cut the primary city-bound path inside a regional 911 routing system. A separately controlled backup route still exists. Police, fire, and ambulance radios still work. Units already on the road can still respond. Ordinary phone lines remain available. But for most people inside a metro area of 2 million, the 3 digits meant to reach help now lead nowhere. Because the failure begins during Friday rush hour, the silence will return as a flood through every backup path the city has.
A 911 call does not go to one national control room. The details vary by jurisdiction, but your carrier normally passes the call into systems that select a local center using location. A call taker confirms the location and emergency, while information moves into dispatch. For urgent calls, dispatch can begin while questions continue. Radios then reach responders. Here, the brake sits in the routing part of that chain. The building has power, its computers are running, and its radios are busy, but the front door for new emergency calls has disappeared. Lena Ortiz, the evening shift supervisor, notices the first warning within 3 minutes. The call volume graph drops to almost 0, even though rush hour is still underway. Then, a patrol officer radios in the collision at 5th and Mercer. No call about that crash appears on Lena's screen. She follows the center's outage checklist. Technicians confirm the local consoles are healthy. Neighboring centers are contacted. The 911 service provider begins tracing the failed route. About 9 minutes after the first dropped call, the provider confirms that calls from several parts of the city are not completing. Lena starts the backup plan. The first fallback is to send incoming calls somewhere else.
Modern 911 networks can reroute calls when a center is overloaded or unavailable, but interconnection varies. Here, a separately controlled, prearranged route can send part of the traffic to the county north of the city. The first redirected calls connect. For a moment, the plan appears to work. But the neighboring center was built for its own population, not another city's rush hour. Its call takers do not share the city's dispatch system. They can answer a call, but cannot send a city ambulance with one click. The neighboring operator asks for the address, callback number, and emergency, then relays the details to Lena's center. A local dispatcher enters them again and sends the proper unit. One call now requires 2 centers and an extra handoff. Marcus finally gets through on a redial that reaches the neighboring county. His report enters the city's dispatch system about 14 minutes after the crash. The county's own 911 calls keep coming. The empty lines on Lena's screens have been pushed into a smaller room somewhere else. Within minutes, that room develops a queue. The backup works. It just cannot work at full city scale for long. 18 minutes in, emergency management sends a public warning across phones, local broadcasters, government websites, and social media. Officials publish pre-designated 10-digit emergency lines for police, fire, and medical help. Those numbers create a second path into Lena's room, but with fewer lines. An ordinary call may also lack the automatic location information of a 911 call, so operators first confirm the exact location and callback number. Texting 911 is not an automatic escape hatch. Availability and routing differ. Here, text traffic depends on the same failed route, so officials do not promise it will work. The alert reaches thousands, but not everyone sees it immediately. Some devices are outside coverage, some alerts are disabled, and drivers are watching the road. Staffed police and fire station desks are briefed for possible walk-ins. Reports now enter through 3 doors: the neighboring county, city 10-digit lines, and direct contact with responders or stations. Some incidents arrive twice. Others arrive with incomplete addresses. Lena's problem is no longer total silence. It is assembling scattered reports into one reliable picture.
At 30 minutes, the city still looks normal. Ambulances move through traffic, fire crews answer radio calls, and police continue existing work. The outage has not erased responders. It makes new emergencies harder to see. Lena divides the room by function. One group answers 10-digit lines. Another receives county relays. A third compares names, addresses, and callback numbers so duplicates do not send 2 crews to one event. Smoke in an apartment building is reported through a fire station. A medical caller reaches the county but knows only the name of a housing complex, not its street address. While one operator searches for it, another must decide whether a new crash report is an emergency or a duplicate. No extra step is catastrophic. Hundreds of them consume the same limited pool of attention. Lena's team must repeat addresses, check relay details, and recognize duplicates without hiding a second emergency nearby. Immediate threats take priority, while lower priority reports wait. The city still has staff, vehicles, hospitals, and radios. It has lost the fastest way to turn a stranger's first sentence into the best available location, confirmed by a call taker and a dispatched crew. The real bottleneck is no longer technology alone.
Just before the 1-hour mark, the provider finds the failed part of the routing system. But a repaired route cannot be trusted just because one indicator turns green. The center must confirm that calls reach the correct jurisdiction and that callback and location data are usable. Teams place coordinated test calls from different carriers and locations. Operators verify the displayed information, transfer calls between positions, and confirm that a disconnected test can be called back. Text is tested separately. Only after those checks does the provider return normal voice traffic to the primary center. As real 911 calls return, the temporary system cannot stop. The warning is active, 10-digit lines ring, and the county still relays queued incidents. Lena's staff run normal and emergency workflows together. Where the network provider captured a number before a call failed, staff attempt a callback. Dispatchers also match new reports against incidents already created elsewhere. At 90 minutes, most new calls complete normally. The alert remains while technicians watch the route and operators repeat checks. Service is technically restored, but the center carries the outage's leftovers while handling the present. Just after 8:17 p.m., officials declare the route stable and issue an all clear. The county releases its overflow positions, 10-digit lines slow, and Lena's call board looks ordinary again. But recovery leaves a tail. Staff finish callbacks, merge duplicates, review delays, and document which parts of the backup plan held. The provider preserves logs. Supervisors hold an immediate operational debrief. A formal after-action review will come later. Marcus's final redial traveled miles north before the report returned to a dispatcher only 3 miles away. That detour is the entire failure in miniature. 911 is a chain. Phone networks, location data, routing, call centers, dispatch software, radios, backup agreements, and people deciding under pressure. Backups can keep that chain moving, but every backup has a capacity, and every extra handoff consumes time. When 911 stops answering, the room may still be full, and every headset may still be on. The break can happen before a caller ever reaches a human voice.